In this video, I want to talk about something pretty important. It has to do with the UFO alien subject. I wrote my thoughts down to help me articulate what it is that I want to share with you. I tried to do it without, but it wasn't working out, so if you're not into watching people talk about their experiences or reading from notes, then you probably want to skip this video. Anyway, this is in part because of a few experiences that I have had that I wanted to share. One of the experiences I was able to actually get pictures of that I'm going to post at the end of the video. But the first experience that really got me interested in the subject in a serious way happened while I was waiting for the bus a few years ago. I arrived at the bus, and at that moment I was alone. It was a perfect sunny, clear sky day. While I was waiting, I happened to look up and observe this black object. At first, I thought it was a bird because of its size, but upon further study, I started to think it was a balloon because it didn't appear to move from its position and it looked stationary. But the longer I studied it, the more strange my thoughts became of it. I even thought at one moment that it looked like a black hole, like the type you see in a cartoon movie, the kind you stretch out and slap on the wall. I don't know why I thought of that, but I did, and shortly after, about 10 minutes of looking up at this thing, I started to think that maybe this thing could be a UFO, and at that moment I directed my thoughts toward it, and at that moment my intention was to communicate with it. So I specifically directed the thoughts of whether or not it being a UFO, if it couldn't demonstrate that to me by disappearing. After I had that thought, I looked to my left for only a few seconds to see if the bus was coming, and at that moment the bus had just pulled up to the stoplight and was getting ready to turn. I looked back up after that and the object was gone. Okay, so it was pretty strange, and it gets weirder. About a month later, in the exact same area, there was a brutal murder-suicide that happened in one of the local businesses that was directly below where I had observed this black sphere. I don't know if the two are related, but I thought that was really strange, and that's what got me serious in studying the skies at that point and looking up more often, trying to figure out what the whole UFO thing's about. I don't know how you would view it, but I can't overlook the impossible coincidence of it disappearing right after I send thoughts to it, trying to figure out if it's a genuine UFO by it disappearing. And I'm positive that it was gone, not something that I just overlooked, because I just spent the last 10 minutes studying it in the exact same position. So what are the odds that it was a balloon and it popping at the same moment that I have those thoughts? Or it being a bird and just happened to hold that position for that long only to fly out of my field of view at the moment that I have those thoughts. So that's why I think that particular experience was genuine. So, well, what that means, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly if it was alien, spiritual, or some type of parapsychological manifestation that is yet to be known or discovered. I just don't know. But I do know without a doubt that there is some serious shit happening around us, and we would be wise to not overlook it. The second experience is probably one of the more profound experiences I have had with observing a UFO. This experience I was actually able to get a couple pictures of, which I will post at the end of the video, as I mentioned earlier. This particular experience happened to my mother and I on our way back from Mount Hood Timberline after a day of snowboarding. As we were driving back on the highway, I had thoughts of wanting to see a group or formation of UFOs because I had never seen anything like that before, and thought that would be really cool if I could see something like that one day. At that point, I had taken up an interest, and I have been online and seen countless people talking about their experiences and supposed real footage that has been posted online, so that partly influenced my thoughts of why I wanted to experience something similar, if it is a reality. And having already experienced something strange regarding a UFO before, which I just mentioned, that also helped to influence the intent at that moment. So I had that thought, and shortly after, like 10-15 seconds, I looked to my right, and in the sky about 200-300 yards up, I see a classic disc-shaped saucer with a dome surrounded by 6 or 7 orbs, all flying, pulsating orbs, all flying in unison. It was so close that I could actually see the main object itself spinning, rotating clockwise. So I immediately grabbed my camera and I snapped off like 4 or 5 photos, only 2 of which managed to come into focus. I wasn't aware at that time how that experience would affect me in the future, but it has changed my perception radically. Even despite me not knowing what it means or how it's possible. I mean, you can look at the pictures and make up your own mind, but I know for the skeptic, I'm just going to look like another UFO nut who has a blurry photo with a bullshit story. And that's fine. To me, this video and this experience is more important than your belief in whether or not I'm being truthful. The other experience I wanted to share has to do with the synchronicity I experienced that's related to the UFO and alien subject. To me, this experience just confirmed to me even further that something really fucking strange is happening. It happened at a job I worked at last year. I wasn't at the job that long before this experience. I wasn't at the job that long before this experience happened, only a few weeks or so. Anyway, a couple of the guys I was working with brought up a conversation regarding conspiracy theories, and whether or not aliens played a part in building, or at the very least, influenced the way the pyramids were built. That conversation led me to express the opinion that I believe this is probably just some sort of experiment. Like the way we experiment on insects and animals. I mean, the gap in our intelligence is so vast that we are almost godlike compared to insects. Yet we take the time to study and dissect them, and even out of a entertaining sense of curiosity, we take measures to put them in glass cages like ant farms, and we use it for our own entertainment. As I was expressing this idea to them, at that moment, I had a very personal and unique and specific thought of that, I would not be surprised if this wasn't some kind of alien ant farm. And I fucking kid you not, right after I had that thought, music was playing on the radio in the background. And the song that was on had just ended. The radio DJ came on and introduced the next band and said, "Next song up, Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm." And this was literally right after I had that fucking thought. And this is a song that I haven't heard in years, as I almost never listen to the radio. So what are the odds of that? How the hell are you supposed to process something like that? Is that communication with what? Aliens, angels, demons, spirit guides, or some other type of phenomenon? Was it my own spirit trying to relay and convey a truth to me? I have no idea for sure, but I feel like when these things happen, it's not meaningless coincidences. Something is trying to get our intentions. Anyway, those are some of the experiences that I wanted to share that has made me come to believe that we indeed are not alone, which brings me to the idea of disclosure and why I'm making this pledge, which is not only intended towards those who deceitfully conceal the truth of this from us, but to the ones who are observing and interacting with us as well. I think more people should come out and make personal statements about their own experiences and their view on disclosure. Something this important needs to be addressed. There are too many people who are having experiences like this who don't have a clue what the hell is happening and need and want answers. And more importantly, they deserve answers. There needs to be a resolution about the subject. Almost everyone already believes in it, so why is there still secrecy on it? Something about the whole thing just seems off to me. Even if a part of it is negative, people still deserve to know. And I believe that the majority of people will be level-headed about it. Anyway, this is something that I wanted to document and log. If you took the time to watch this and listen to this, thank you. Hopefully this will encourage more to speak openly about their experiences and vote their opinion on the subject of disclosure openly. Making these videos and talking about this publicly doesn't come very easy to me, as you can probably guess. But hopefully by doing so, it'll help others to deal with the same thing and give them the encouragement that they need to speak more openly about it as I have. So thank you.